Welcome everyone to a new and exciting episode of Cyber Prophets. Cyber Prophets, the podcast where we are prophesizing the future of technology. We have been talking about the possible risks of AI. We talk about the three important risks of AI that I will recap in a short while. And today we're going to talk about some other risks associated to the use of AI. And for that reason, I am here sitting with my brother from another mother and co-host, Federico.
Welcome everyone. Hopefully you have been enjoying about the myths of AI and you're already reskilling to learn more about this important area.
Exactly, Federico. Reskilling is very important, and we have seen like the surge of all of these AI applications. And the only thing that we can recommend is that we should take advantage of all of them. Now, for the recap, during our last episode, we mentioned three of the most important myths related to AI, and these are superintelligence by 2100 is inevitable, and superintelligence by 2100 is impossible. These are the two sides of the coin. We also saw the second myth that only ludites worry about AI, and the third one that is a mythical worry that AI can turn evil. If you haven't watched the discussion about these three myths, please go ahead and watch the video. The link is on the description. Now, for the present episode, we're going to deal with other four myths, and let's discuss them, Federico. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Perfect. So the first myth is like that. Robots are the main concern. And as a matter of fact, they say that misaligned intelligence is the main concern. It needs nobody, only an internet connection. What are your thoughts on this?
I would say that over the years we have discovered that robots are not exactly a huge concern as we think. Because, for example, misinformation or anything that is happening on the internet, you don't say real robots or something that has a human form, and it's mainly what we provide or what we are trying to, let's say, to reshape in our way of thinking. That's why you can see misinformation or things that are not exactly aligned with your point of view.
Exactly, that's what I think as well. So, for instance, if you have seen these videos about the most advanced robots in the world, which are coming from Boston Dynamics, or in Japan, also they are developing very advanced robots. They are capable now of doing some acrobatics and of doing some tasks. However, they have not reached the level of intelligence of kind of becoming a threat to the humanity. But what we have seen, on the other hand, is that some fake news, or for instance, when we talk about the images, Federico, about the Pope or like Barack Obama with Angela Merkel. So these are really fake news and that are created with the use of AI. That is like exactly what they say, like misaligned intelligence. These are people that are taking advantage of the use of the tools of AI out there and are using it for nefarious purposes. So robots, the physical representation wouldn't be like a major concern, but it's mostly about like the intelligence, right? And what can you do with it?
Yeah, also robots are expensive to build. I don't think we're able to have a factory of robots that look like humans even in less than 50 years because, well, they are expensive and they are hard to maintain. They are, even if we don't see them as humans, it's like a computer. From time to time, you need to check it, and especially something that will be so complex, will be as complex as a human. It will require a lot of maintenance.
Exactly, exactly. So you don't see the movie I Am Legend happen anytime soon.
No, because might need to get other sources or other things coming, I don't know, from asteroids, or we will need to mine even deeper the Earth. And if we're trying to, I don't know, protect the environment and the planet, we will need to stop doing all this digging inside the Earth. And that if you want to have advanced robots, You need advanced resources and a lot of metals or other materials which are expensive.
Great. So, just to conclude, Federico, will you say that robots are the main concern?
No.
Definitely not. It's the misaligned intelligence. Let's move forward to the second myth. And the myth is that AI can control humans. But the fact that is stated is that intelligence enables control. We control even animals such as tigers because we are smarter than them, right? So if there's a superhuman entity that has more powerful cognitive capabilities than humans have, it is actually a possibility that they can control us. What do you think about this, Federico?
I would say it's more about manipulation. That's what AI will do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like in many cases we try to find things on the internet that even validates our points of view, even
Yeah.
if wrong. Even if I know that this is wrong, I will go to the internet and someone will agree with my point of view, and then I will say, no, they are wrong and I'm right. So in the end, you can even use ChatGPT and I don't know, start to have a discussion about why the Earth is red and not blue. Up at a certain point, ChatGPT will start answering, yeah, the Earth is red. You are right. And you can even force ChatGPT to give these kind of answers because ChatGPT plays with some algorithms and it will try to match what you want. So it can manipulate you, yeah, but it will be based on the input that you provide. It's not that it's necessarily smarter, it's that we just tend to be, let's say, we try to deceive ourselves about certain things, and that's why in the end certain actions will let's say we will become manipulated, not exactly for the reasons that we think, but because we created that.
Interesting. So you say that in the end of the day, it's our responsibility.
Yeah, it is our responsibility. You can see that some people start to troll Bing GPT, or you could see it that Microsoft released another robot a couple of years ago in Twitter, and after a while it started to say things that it shouldn't have said. But why he said them? Because people started to troll it.
Yes.
And this is like a kid. You have a kid, you punish the kid because he did something wrong. You take a bell, then you do it again and again and again and again. And then you expect that the person will become rational and very good human. Not necessarily. He's a human, or that person is a human, and start retaining all those negative emotions. So AI is the same. It's like a child. We're training it and we're teaching it what we want. But if we teach it for the wrong purposes, it will give you the wrong results.
Yes, exactly. But in that sense, Federico, in the scenario that you are mentioning, it sounds as there's like AI, of course, which is providing wrong answers, but behind the AI, there's still a human being with nefarious intentions.
Yeah.
That is like kind of pulling the cords,
Yeah.
like a marionette master. Now, that is, of course, a possibility. What do you think about AI having some sort of independence? And that means that there won't be this human figure behind it, and AI itself will be the one which is like consciously providing wrong answers.
I think even in the very beginning, the AI will have got the input from someone, and that someone was us.
Okay, yes.
It's impossible that an AI will start thinking by itself. Let's suppose that you were able to create an AI that has no knowledge, but then in order to get knowledge, he needs to interact with us. And then started to interact with us, and we started training it wrongly. Yeah, sooner or later, he will learn, the AI will learn enough to give you answers, but still, we were the input of those answers, either good or bad. So the more you troll these tools, the more issues we're going to have.
So at the end of the day, yes, tell me, please.
We're not as clever as we think. The more you troll it, the more issues we're going to have. And it's only us the responsibles of this problem.
Makes total sense, Federico. And at the end of the day, it will basically mimic our behavior, what we do, and also that means our representation of what's good and what's wrong. That's a very interesting discussion. Let's move forward to the next myth. The next myth is machines can have goals. And this is related to what I was mentioning. If you think that AI could have goals on itself. And they say that the fact is that a heat-seeking missile has a goal. What do you think about this?
I will say that the AI in the end, for now, is to answer our questions. That's the only answer. That's the only goal, or let's say reason to exist. But it's not going to start thinking by itself, hey, I need to exterminate humans from the earth because they are polluting too much the planet. It won't think like that. It's like if you teach them that they need to exterminate the thing that is destroying the planet, or they might think, but it's not that it thought about it. It's like we trying to think in that way. But by itself, it's just a collection of data. And if you don't give the power or the tools, like for example, access to the missiles in the US, it's not gonna just connect to the internet and start getting access to those tools. Most of those tools are even extremely restrictive. I will be really suspicious that the missiles in the US, the ones that the president have access to, are connected to the internet. I'm almost sure that this is in a non-internet environment or not internet exposed location. It will be in an intranet or something like that, that if you don't give them access, there is no way that they will have access to it.
I would also agree with you on that point. And I think you mentioned something very important, that AI will do what we train them to do. And this is exactly the example with the heat-seeking missile. It has a goal because we have given it this goal, right? As you mentioned, ChatGPT right now has been trained to answer all of our questions. So I think that the risk is basically understanding for us. That's the risk and the challenge for human beings, understanding what will be the limits of the goals that you can assign to AI tools that won't actually damage humanity and in general. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, because we're the trainers. It's like with the tigers or with anything. If you don't train them to do evil things, they will not do evil things. If you have a pet and you train it and you pet it well, your dog will not eat you or bite you.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, we are like trainers of this super intelligence, sort of saying. And we are the ones at the end of the day responsible for it. That's an amazing conclusion. Let's move forward to the last myth. And the last myth is that superintelligence is just years away and therefore you should panic. Now, the actual worry, it says that it's at least decades away, but it may take long to make it safe. So we need to plan ahead. What do you think about this point?
I agree that it might be decades away, but the main problem is to make it safe is that we can see it with what Elon Musk did with the letter. Did any government agree to do anything? No. Right now there are so many challenges all over the world that no one wants to do anything. And this is like a big issue, because this is something that only the governments can regulate, because these technologies are being created by private entities. Private entities do not really have the best interest that we might have. They only care about giving money back to their shareholders. And if my main goal is to make this money, why will let's say, the Chinese government, the Russian government, the Brazilian government, the South African government, the Moroccan government will stop their development? They will not, because for them it's a threat. It's either all stops or no one stops. And that's why it's becoming less safe. Because in this thing everybody must agree on the rules. It's like what happened with the nuclear development. The nuclear nukes stopped in a while, and we haven't had huge developments because every government agreed that it was dangerous. But probably the main reason is that that was obvious about its impact in Hiroshima when the bomb exploded. While in AI, we might see some issues, especially with the misinformation. But since it's not something that physically damages you for now, we don't really care and we don't think about making it safer. That's the main problem.
Yes, I think that so far the biggest of the risk or the biggest of the damages that we have seen is about this fake news. And as you mentioned, there is no real life or death threat or like something that can injure you physically. And that is why most of the governments didn't even agree on this letter. And for our audience, if you don't know about this letter, we held a whole discussion about it. You can check it, and the link is in the video. This letter was proposed to actually unify or like to stop all of the development of AI. However, no one agreed on that. There were no real agreements after all, even though many persons signed the petition. So it's actually a shame, right? And this is probably, as you say, that it is one of the most difficult challenges to make it safe because we need to actually unite ourselves. Like all of the government need to unite themselves, and also the individuals, because there are nowadays even libraries that you can download to your own machine and have your own GPT cluster, your own set of AI, let's call it, your personal private AI. So even that can become dangerous, right, Federico?
Yeah.
So the thing is that, yeah, superintelligence can happen. This is also related to the first myth that we mentioned. But we need to plan ahead. And by planning ahead, we mean also like getting involved many of the governments in the world and also the experts on the field. And that is to make it safe.
Or you can also contact your local deputies or representatives and ask them what they can do. Because if you have the power and you vote in the elections, you can push for these agendas, especially in the people that are in your regions. You have the power to do this change, and it's also our responsibility. You can contact your local deputies, your representatives, and push them to do these changes. No one else can do it besides them.
Exactly. We have to really recur to the people who have the power to make the decisions. Okay, we have seen these 4 myths today. Robots are the main concern. AI can't control humans. Machines can have goals, and superintelligence is just years away. And we have also seen the facts corresponding to each of them. Any last words, Federico?
Contact your deputies, contact your local governments, and request that this topic must be taken seriously. If not, we will regret in the coming years about why we will not like about AI. It's in your hands to bring change.
Exactly. It is convenient for all of us to make it now when the stakes are not that high, when nothing physical is involved. This is the time to act on it. And on those words, I would like to close this episode. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for following us during this season 2 of Cyber Prophets. This is going to be the last episode of this season, but don't worry, we're going to come back in season 3 with more and more experts, where we're going to be inviting more and more experts to come to our stage to talk about these innovative and disruptive topics. Thank you, everyone, and see you on season 3.